5 questions to ask when you're considering who you want to be your ideal client avatar. All right, before we get to the first one, let me just talk about why you need an ideal avatar, okay? Because you're thinking, well, look, anybody who comes with money, why wouldn't I want those to be my client? I will tell you this. I zigzagged back and forth for years in several different businesses, and I will tell you this, that not all money is good money and not all customers are good customers. Just because they come to you does not necessarily mean that you want to do business with them. And it took me a while to figure this out because I ended up working with people in various industries. I was in property management. I still have a property management business. I've got other businesses that I was involved in. And just because someone was bringing money to me did not necessarily mean that I wanted to keep them or that they were an ideal customer. What I'm talking about when I mean an ideal client avatar is if you're already in business, these are the folks who they love you, they buy from you over and over, or they would buy from you over and over if that was the type of business that you're in. They're advocates for you, and they make it incredibly easy to do business with. These are the folks you would literally say, oh my gosh, how do I get 50 more of you, right? Those are the types of customers that's your ideal avatar, where they make it easy, you make the most amount of money, and you just love them, and they love you. On the other side of the equation are the people who are the 20, you've heard of the 80-20 rule, where 20% of your customers take up 80% of your time. That's what I'm talking about with that. You want to get rid of that 20%. You want to get rid of those clients that are they take up all of your time. In fact, they take away time away from your ideal clients, but they take up all of your time. You hardly make any money with them, and they just wear you out. So those are the folks you just want to get rid of. When you're identifying your ideal client avatar and getting really clear in terms of who it is that you want to work with, if you're already in business for yourself, you can start to whittle that down now. You can start to say, well, who are these dream clients? And again, how do I get 50 more of them? And you can start to mimic that client base, right? And you can start to ask these questions. The next 5 questions I'm going to ask you, you can start to use that as a lens to say, okay, how do I mimic this? How do I get more of those that are in this, that are like this, right? If you're not in business yet, or you're just getting started, I would invite you to get as clear as you possibly can. Try to maybe base it around a central theme. Maybe you don't necessarily feel comfortable niching down, but I would say try to focus on a central theme in terms of who it is that you like to work with. You can, and again, say they're married, they're in between this range, they make this kind of money or whatever. But these other questions are really going to help you get a little bit deeper than that. Okay, so of course you know how to do demographic stuff, and otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching this channel. But what I would say is beyond just the basic demographics, I want you to start to think about the first question. Number 1 is, what are their dreams and goals? What do they dream about? What do they actually want? And what are the things that it's really important for you to understand? One of the things that's really important for you to understand about their dreams and goals is because you may be a direct or indirect way of solving those dreams or goals, or those intermediate waypoints, right? Let's say that you do credit repair or something like that, and part of their goals is along the way is to maybe buy a house, maybe buy a new car, maybe move out of the area that they're in, maybe move to a different city, right? Or whatever. Like maybe they want a fresh start. But the whole point is that you got to understand what their dreams and goals are for your client avatar. So it goes way beyond just, are they married and they're between 25 and 45 and they make $150,000 to $250,000 a year and they're married with a couple of kids. Like, that's great to know, but I want you to go deeper. So really, first and foremost, start out, what are their dreams and goals, and get really clear on that. Number 2, and I know some of these questions are going to start to sound a little bit crazy, but start to think about, what are they afraid of? What are their fears? What are their doubts? What do they actually struggle with? What basically keeps them up at night? And when you can understand that, now you're really starting to get really clear, because people are vastly going to move much faster out of pain than they are towards pleasure. So even though I asked you first and foremost about their dreams and goals, but they're probably wanting to move away from some sort of fear. They're probably wanting to move away from some emotional pain, and they will move faster away from emotional pain than they will, or even physical pain, than they are towards pleasure. Think about it for just a second. If I was to hold your hand over a candle, right? You're going to jerk your hand back pretty quickly. But if I said, hey, go over there and slip into that hot tub, you might saunter your way over there and then slide in nice and easy. And that same metaphor holds up with emotional pain. We're going to be living hell is really easy to act upon, but when things are just kind of like, they're status quo, they may not have enough pain to actually act and buy your product or service. So you want to understand what they're afraid of, what are their fears, what are their doubts, what do they struggle with, and where is their emotional pain. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3, do they go on vacation? And if they do, where? And if not, why not? And I know this sounds a little bit nuts. You're like thinking, why do I care if they go on vacation? Because they may not have the time, they may not have the money, they may not even know that it's even possible for them. So you can actually start to think, hey, these are different ways that I can free up time. So if you want to go on a vacation, or even if it's just a staycation, just to have a little bit of time at home, this is where you can start to free up bandwidth and gets them start to thinking different ways. And now you start to become an end-to-end solution for them. Start on that same vein. So that's number 3. If they don't go on vacation, maybe ask this: where do they eat? And what do they eat? This is also really important because it tells you a lot about what they value. If they value healthy eating, that's going to be important for you to know, because that's going to tell you where they spend their money. If they go out and they eat a lot of fast food, or maybe they go out on a date night and they only go to an expensive steakhouse maybe once or twice a month, that's going to tell you something about them, right? So again, where do they eat? And again, you may not know that, but if you've got an existing avatar, maybe you can ask them that, hey, do you guys go out to eat very often? I'm just curious, where do you go? If you don't, and you don't have an avatar yet, or you don't have a client base yet, take your best guess. Where do you think they eat? And you can always adjust that later. And finally, what do they wear? What kind of clothing do they wear? Do they wear secondhand stuff, or do they shop at Macy's, or do they shop at Walmart, right? What do they wear? The kind of clothing they wear also tells you a lot about them. And are they trying to be fashionable, or are they like me, where they'll literally wear the same jeans, same black t-shirt? I do change my underwear, but and my socks. But do I change my clothes, or am I wearing the same thing all the time? I just wear this because it's easy. It's like adult garanimals. But for those folks, are they trying to be fashionable? Is it a really important thing that they always are seen wearing something new and the latest? Or is it more like me, where it's just utilitarian? I just don't care as long as it's clean. So these are the sorts of things that I want you to start to consider when you're going through and developing your client avatar, because it's going to be massively easier when you're going into the next phase of this, which is actually talking about developing their lead generation and having that conversation with them through your advertising and marketing. So I hopefully that you found this helpful. If you would like a free download on a bunch of questions on how to actually work through your ideal client avatar, there's a whole host of questions on there. It's 100% for free. Just follow the link in the description, and I will see you inside. Have a great rest of your day.